Welcome to Screen Hollywood, the home of movie news and entertainment. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
What's your favorite scary movie? Welcome back to Screen Hollywood. I'm your host, Adam. If you're new, what are you waiting for? Join the Hollywood family and hit the like, subscribe, notification bell, and hype button. And bookmark and subscribe to our news publication at screenhollywood.com. For over 2 decades, that question has been the harbinger of doom, the opening salvo in a bloody game of cat and mouse. And now, the game is about to begin again. That's right, folks. Despite one of the most chaotic, cursed, and frankly disastrous productions in modern horror history, Scream 7 is coming, and the first official box office tracking is in. Now, normally this is where we just report the numbers, but this time is different, because what we are witnessing with Scream 7 is a Hollywood miracle, a phoenix rising from the ashes of what should have been a franchise-killing catastrophe. The official projections are calling for a solid, respectable opening, but today, I'm going to tell you why those projections are not just wrong, they are laughably, timidly, and conservatively wrong. This isn't just another sequel, this is an event, and I believe it's on track to become the biggest opening in Scream history. So today, we're going to break down the chaos, analyze the numbers, and I'm going to give you my official, bold as hell prediction. Before we can even talk about the future, we have to acknowledge the absolute train wreck of the past year. Let's be brutally honest, this movie should not exist. The production was a complete and utter dumpster fire. First, you had the firing of Melissa Barrera over her social media posts. Then you had the subsequent and completely understandable departure of Jenna Ortega, who reportedly didn't want to move forward without her on-screen sister. In the blink of an eye, the core 4, the very heart of this new trilogy, had been ripped out. The franchise was dead on arrival. Director Christopher Landon, who had been brought on to helm the project, saw the writing on the wall and walked away, calling it a dream job that turned into a nightmare. The project was a ghost. It was finished. And then, the impossible happened. In a move that sent a shockwave through the entire horror community, 2 legends returned to save the franchise they built. First, Kevin Williamson, the man who created this world, the writer of the original masterpiece, stepped in to direct. And then, the queen herself, Neve Campbell, announced she was coming back. Sidney Prescott was returning to Woodsboro. This isn't just a recasting, it's a resurrection. And that context is absolutely crucial to understanding why the official box office numbers are missing the bigger picture. So, let's get to the numbers. According to that new report from Deadline, the official industry tracking for Scream 7 is projecting a domestic opening weekend in the range of $45 to $55 million. Now, on the surface, that's a great number. The film reportedly has a modest budget of around $40 million, so an opening in that range would make it an instant financial success. It would also put it right in line with, and potentially above, the opening for Scream 6, which debuted to a then franchise record of $44.4 million. By all conventional metrics, Paramount should be thrilled with that projection. But that projection is playing it safe. It's looking at this movie as just another sequel, and it is failing to account for the seismic shift that has happened in the last few months. That number is wrong, and I think it's low by at least $15 million. So why do I think a movie that was on life support 6 months ago is now poised to shatter franchise records? It comes down to 2 key factors, 2 absolute game changers that the tracking isn't fully appreciating. First, and most importantly, is the Neve Campbell factor. We cannot overstate this. Sidney Prescott is not just a character in the Scream franchise, she is the Scream franchise. She is the original final girl, the ultimate survivor, the very soul of this story. Her absence in Scream 6 over a pay dispute was a dark cloud that hung over the entire movie, even as successful as it was. Her return is not just a casting choice, it is a cultural event. It is a promise to every single legacy fan who has been there since 1996 that the true heart of the series is back. This brings back an entire generation of viewers, the people who grew up with Sidney, who might have felt that the core 4 era wasn't quite for them. This is the Sidney Prescott comeback tour, and you do not bet against Sidney Prescott, ever. The second reason is the Kevin Williamson factor. Williamson returning to write was one thing, but him stepping into the director's chair is a statement. This is the creator taking back the keys to his kingdom. After the passing of the legendary Wes Craven, the franchise has been in the hands of talented but different filmmakers. Williamson's return as director is a signal to the hardcore fan base that the movie is being guided by the one person on Earth who understands the DNA of Scream better than anyone. It's a promise that the tone, the wit, the meta-commentary, and the genuine suspense will be pitch perfect. It's a promise of a return to form. When you combine the return of the original hero with the return of the original creator, you don't just have a sequel, you have the ultimate legacy sequel. You have an event that bridges every generation of the fandom. So, with all that being said, here is my official Screen Hollywood prediction. The tracking says $45 to $55 million. I say that's the floor, not the ceiling. I am calling it right now. I am forecasting a domestic opening weekend for Scream 7 between $60 and $70 million. A $60 million plus opening would not just be a success, it would be a monumental triumph. It would be a new franchise record by a massive margin. It would be a powerful statement that in Hollywood, sometimes a crisis can lead to an incredible opportunity. The near total collapse of this production forced the studio to go back to basics, to bring back the two people who could unite the entire fan base. And I believe that fan base is going to show up in a way we haven't seen before. Now, am I saying there are no risks? Of course not. The loss of the core four is still a significant blow. Will the younger audience, the fans who came on board because of Jenna Ortega, show up in the same numbers for a Sidney-centric story? That's a valid question. And there's always the risk of franchise fatigue. But my gut feeling is that the sheer, unadulterated hype of seeing Neve Campbell and Sidney Prescott go toe-to-toe with Ghostface one more time, under the direction of Kevin Williamson, is a force of nature that will overcome all of those obstacles. This movie has a story that no marketing team could have ever scripted. It's a story of chaos, collapse, and a legendary last-minute resurrection. It's the ultimate underdog story. And just like Sidney Prescott, it's going to defy the odds and come out on top. What do you guys think? Am I crazy for predicting a franchise best opening? Or is the return of Sidney and Kevin Williamson just that powerful? Let me know your own predictions in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more from Screen Hollywood. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.